Good afternoon, everybody. Well, this is a Canadian story in that Canadian press are talking about it a lot. This is the synagogue shooter and the Gab.Ai controversy, but I was listening to Roy Green, and everybody had been saying you should listen to Roy Green, and this is his guest talking about this. But I thought, man, like they're pushing the propaganda just like everybody else is. It's pretty wild. So we're gonna start listening with Mr. Green's guest talking about what Gab.Ai is, and he's not wrong necessarily, but he's putting a very big slant on it. And we'll listen, and then we're going to get into what is Gab, what happened to Gab, and what do the big guys get away with? What can Facebook and Twitter do with impunity that Gab has contravened here? What has Gab done that's different than Facebook and Twitter? And people are going to tell me inciting violence. Wait till the end of the video. Let's listen first. What is Gab, according to Roy Green and his guest yesterday?
Is fame. Infamy, to be sure, but it is fame. So who is this fellow? What do we know about him? Aside from all the hateful speech and rhetoric, he's a guy who has not been allowed on the major faces of social media. And so apparently there is room on the dark web or a website or blog, whatever it is, called The Gap, that features these kinds of people, just as it features perverts and people who make snuff movies and people who are looking to join ISIS or Al-Qaeda. The problem is the technology now enables these isolated, terrible people to operate in a network.
Right, so he's blaming Gab just like everybody else is blaming Gab, and he's during that for the synagogue shooting, for offering a platform to people who post hate to propagate hate, and then they say that basically he was able to find support, and then he went in to shoot up the synagogue because of the support on Gab. And he also said that Gab is a technological tool used by ISIS for recruiting. Well, here's a Guardian article from 2016, and I was paying attention to this way back then, 2 years ago, because it was something I was interested in, and the mainstream media were reporting on it a little bit, but it's gone down since then. This is when ISIS was a very big problem, and they were recruiting, and it was a huge problem. So, quote, Twitter suspends 235,000 accounts in 6 months for promoting terrorism. And if you get into this, it talks about how they were recruiting using Twitter as well. And actually, I thought this was an article that talked more about recruiting, so I apologize for that. Links will be in the description. So what is Gab? This is another article from 2016. And it says, quote, new social network Gab.Ai preaches freedom of expression for internet users. Now, this is kind of, well, you can see the slant here as well. I'm going to read a couple of parts up here, and then we're going to go down here. So if the First Amendment is your thing, there's a new space on the internet just for you. Gab.Ai, which only launched under a month ago, 2 years ago, has caught the attention of thousands of right-leaning users with 12,000 registered and 42,000 waitlisted for the site. Founder Andrew Torba, an open Trump supporter, says the site follows the coattails of Facebook and Twitter's recent battles with user censorship, including perhaps most notably Twitter's banishment of controversial conservative internet personality Milo Yiannopoulos for his harassment campaign against actor Leslie Jones. Okay, skipping down a bit. The creator's beliefs regarding the First Amendment aren't tucked away in privacy or site policy sections. Rather, the homepage flaunts a quote from British Indian novelist and essayist Salman Rushdie. Quote, what is freedom of expression? Without the freedom to offend, it ceases to exist. Torba expressed to BuzzFeed News his frustration with current social networks like Facebook and Twitter and their ability to determine right from wrong and moderate contents for users. This, he said, was a large factor behind his creation of Gab. What makes the entirety left-leaning big social monopoly qualified to tell us what is news and what is trending and what defines and to define what harassment means, he said. It didn't feel right to me, and I wanted to change it and give people something that would be fair and just. While there are some limits to free speech on the site, threats of violence, illegal pornography, or the release of personal information without consent, Gab aims to put the onus on users to handle harassment. Quote, Gab is not for any particular group of people, political leaning, race beliefs, or anything, he said, anybody is welcome to express themselves on Gab, and there will be no censorship. And here's Gab's homepage today. Gab has spent the last 48 hours proudly working with the DOJ and FBI to bring to justice an alleged terrorist. Because of the data we provided, they now have plenty of evidence for their case. In the midst of this, Gab has been no-platformed by essentially the internet infrastructure providers at every level. We are the most censored, smeared, and no-platform startup in history, which means we are a threat to the media and to the Silicon Valley oligarchy. Gab isn't going anywhere. It doesn't matter to what you write. It doesn't matter what the sophists, talking heads say on TV. It doesn't matter what verified nobodies say on Twitter. We have plenty of options, resources, and support. We will exercise every possible avenue to keep Gab online and to defend free speech and individual liberty for all people. You have all just made Gab a nationally recognized brand as the home of free speech online at a time when Silicon Valley is stifling political speech they disagree with to interfere in a U.S. election. The internet is not reality. TV is not reality. 80% of normal everyday people agree with Gab and support free expression and liberty. The online outrage mob and mainstream media spin machine are the minority opinion. People are waking up, so please keep pointing the finger at social networks instead of pointing the finger at the alleged shooter who holds sole responsibility for his actions. No platform us all you want, ban us all you want, smear us all you want. You can't stop an idea. As we transition to a new hosting provider, Gab will be inaccessible for a period of time. We are working around the clock to get Gab.com back online. Thank you, and remember to speak freely. Andrew Torba, CEO of Gab.com. So this is all that's on the main page. This used to be a whole social network, just like Twitter, with up and down votes and so a little bit of Reddit and a little bit of Facebook. You had like a profile as well. It was a lot mixed into one. I kept using Twitter because that's where everybody is at this point in time. But this kind of stuff is scary, right? So here's TechCrunch talking about this article. And the reason I'm telling you this is I want to show you how deplatformed Gab has become. So this is TechCrunch today or yesterday, 12 hours ago. Far-right social network Gab goes offline after GoDaddy tells it to find another domain registrar. Gab, the far-right social network that the suspect in Saturday's mass shooting at Pittsburgh synagogue used to share anti-Semitic posts, has gone offline after GoDaddy gave it 24 hours to find a new domain provider. GoDaddy's decision came after PayPal, Medium, Stripe, Joynet banned Gab's account over the weekend. On his Gab profile, Bowers had written, quote, Jews are the children of Satan in his biography and repeatedly shared anti-Semitic content and other hate speech. Shortly before the shooting, Bowers allegedly wrote, quote, HIAS, an organization that aids Jewish refugees, likes to bring invaders in that kill our people. I can't sit by and watch my people get slaughtered. Screw your optics. I'm going in. In an emailed statement, a GoDaddy spokesperson said, Gab was told to move after breaking the domain registrar's rules against violent content. Quote, we have informed Gab.ai that they have 24 hours to move the domain to another registrar as they have violated our terms of service. In response to complaints received over the weekend, GoDaddy's investigated and discovered numerous instances of content on the site that both promotes and encourages violence against people. And that is against their terms of service. So here's another thing from Gab, their Twitter account. So it says, quote, Gab has to move all hosting, domain registrar, and payment processing services offshore in order to stay on the internet. Let that sink in. That's incredible, really. It is... Free speech is so dangerous to the current Western leaders that they are willing to deplatform a movement that is not willing to censor speech. Unbelievable. And so the platform is moving all of their hosting out of the United States and Canada in order to stay online. Here's USA Today. It says, Gab, the social network used by accused Pittsburgh synagogue shooter, goes offline. And it says, Gab, the social network scrutinized following a shooting at a Pittsburgh synagogue that left 11 dead, went offline as service providers suspended accounts and threatened to shut the website down. GoDaddy confirmed it's given 24 hours to switch providers after claiming the website violated its terms of service. And so here's the GoDaddy terms of service, and I've found the violence against people part. It's in the section 5, general rules of conduct. So it says, you will not use the site or services in a manner as determined by GoDaddy in sole and absolute discretion that is illegal or promotes, encourages illegal activity, promotes, encourages, engages in child pornography, promotes, encourages, engages in terrorism, violence against people, animals, or property. So they're saying that there you go, there's your terms violated, your registrar, and GoDaddy didn't have hosting, but their site registration is through them. So they said it will be terminated. So they had to move within 24 hours, which, I mean, all of that takes time, right? Like to propagate through different servers, et cetera. It's not necessarily a fast process, and it's a process that you need help with on the other end, like from GoDaddy and from your new domain registrar, et cetera. But they did violate the terms of service, I guess. But is a social network responsible for the things that its users post? Is it responsible then for the things its users do in the real world? Okay, so let's look at some other aspects of this case. So Gab has been censored, according to this story right now, because of the synagogue shooter. But in 2017, citing hate speech, this is The Hill story, Google suspends social media site favored by the alt-right from the App Store. So in 2017, August 2017, Google banned Gab from being able to have their app within the Google Play Store. So was that because of something that happened, or was that because Google doesn't like free speech? Here is the post from Slate magazine. It says, quote, "The pipe bomb suspect appears to have tweeted death threats at Democrats and Twitter allowed it." So Twitter is allowed to stay online with no problem and no controversy, but somebody who is sending pipe bombs to prominent Democrats and threatening the president of the United States with death on Twitter has no problem. And the posts are still accessible according to some reports that I've read. Now, I don't have the post here because I don't like to highlight the killers or bombers or anything to that effect. So, but Twitter doesn't take things down, and I'll show you even more evidence of that. Here's a Facebook live video that 4 people, and this was 2017, last year, but 4 black people kidnapped a white delayed person or special needs person and beat him up. They kidnapped him, they beat him up, and they live streamed it on Facebook. And you can watch that video here. I'm not going to show it because it is graphic and I don't like violence. It's not very nice. But I'll read this out. Quote, "A young woman who broadcast the beating and racial taunting of a man on Facebook Live has been arrested with 3 others in connection with the gruesome attack," Chicago police said Wednesday. The disturbing 30-minute video shows a man tied up and his mouth covered, cowering in the corner of a room. His attackers laugh and shout out, "Fuck Donald Trump" and "Fuck white people," and they kick and punch him. So that's fine. We can leave Facebook up. There's no problem with that because Facebook isn't responsible for their users' decisions in the real world. So why is Gab being shut down? This seems crazy and a very big double standard. Here's an article from 2012, and this is something that has been true of Twitter for a very long time, but it's a Guardian article from the UK. Quote, "Twitter is failing to police child pornography effectively." And there are many articles about Twitter allowing child pornography and other inappropriate pictures to circulate on Twitter. There was Twittergate in 2012, and then another one in 2016 when people were, I think it was zero, and it was a zero and then the word zero, was exposing Twitter accounts. And that's what this article is talking about. And it says, quote, and this is 2016, it says, "Twitter has a problem with child pornography." In 2012, The Guardian published an op-ed piece about Twitter. And that's the one I just showed you. Links in the description. Since then, Twitter has publicly stated they will take measures to immediately ban and remove any accounts containing child pornography. Fast forward to now, throughout the election, a hacker who's gone by various iterations. Oh, there it is, 0 hour. Yep. Has flooded social networks with all sorts of interesting and shocking things, including some pictures of Bill Clinton with a young woman on what appears to be a private jet, as well as several photos purported to be clothed yet provocatively posed underage girls on other people's islands. So they are distributing things that are maybe not above board. And child porn is something that most people find abhorrent, right? So that's kind of strange that it's being ignored. Here's a 2016 article as well, BBC Trending, "How Innocent Photos of Children Have Been Exploited on Twitter," and it explains how you can find all of these images yourself if you really want to, if you're motivated to. Have a read of the BBC article talking about their own people going through and finding the caches of inappropriate images. Here's Bloomberg reporting in November 8th, 2017, "Snapchat has a child porn problem, but I didn't see anybody trying to deplatform Snapchat. Nobody's saying, get that hosting provider down and make sure they can't make any money. Child porn's okay. No problem with that." Interesting. Links in the description. I thought this is really just crazy. This is a hashtag that's allowed to trend on Twitter. You can search hashtags if you want to. So this is Twitter. You can see it. This hashtag is called Kill Whites. The last posting was October 23rd. October 22nd, we need to free Starbucks next. It's a threat to humanity that I can't get my soy latte from the government. Go Chuck Go. Hashtag kill whites too. I mean, the casualness with which this is okay, it is very interesting that we've got one platform that is being literally deplatformed. You are not allowed to buy a computer that is connected to the internet to host your ideas because they're abhorrent. But hashtag kill white is trending on Twitter. Kill whites is trending on Twitter. How about kill all whites? That's okay. Here's July 15th, 2013. Let's have a serious discussion about race. Hashtag kill all whites. 18th of June, 2014. I'm not saying we should hashtag kill all whites, but well, it's kind of the only thing we haven't tried yet. So is this stuff okay? Is that not inciting violence? Is that just like white people can't have violence incited against them? Is that why this doesn't count? This is just fine. No problems at all. Here's Andy Cohen saying, yes, I am racist. I hate white people. So, I mean, okay, like, I suppose that's all right. But what if he said, I hate black people, or I hate Asian people, or I hate Muslim people, or I hate Christian people? Are those things okay too? Why is the white thing okay? Why is white no problems? I don't understand it. How Twitter, here's an American Renaissance piece that talks about how Twitter promotes verified hate. And there's a big image here that I'm going to look at just in a second that is pictures and archived links of Twitter saying, yeah, no problems, to a lot of racist white people and inciting violence. Like, there's clear inciting of violence in many of these tweets. And I'm going to read a selection right now. Andrew Lowe says, it literally smells like eggs and vinegar when I walk outside. I hate white people. Dave Pemberton says, white people are the worst. And Tafola says, yeah, kill all white men, to be honest. Also, white people suck. Deeplo Uchina said, this is why white people are the worst. Just watching Django Unchained, man, I hate white people. Can you cite a single recent example of a prominent media or political figure expressing racism against white people? Yes, I can. I hate white people. Kill all the white people, then we'll be free. Nice day for a white genocide. All of this has been on Twitter, and the archive links are to make sure that we can see that these posts have been on Twitter. But I showed you at least one of them. Here's Andy Cohen, sorry. Yes, I hate white people. And I just don't have the time to go through and find all of these to confirm. But I have seen a lot of these firsthand, and these hashtags aren't just made up for fun. Like, there are people who are thinking this is okay. I mean, look at what's happening in South Africa. They are doing that. It's being reported, and there's nothing happening. So here is a don't know if it's 2016 or 2017. Hold on. Actually, it was this year, 2018. But anyway, it's a Washington Post article, and it says, an Asian American woman's tweets ignited debate. Is it okay to make fun of white people online? I think the debate is more broad than that. Is it okay to make fun of any race online? Is it all right to just throw this whole racism is using somebody's race to paint that whole race as whatever you want to paint them, right? Like, white people are awful, according to, I guess, Twitter and Facebook and everybody online. Is that okay? Can we also blanket other races just because of virtue of their race? Or is that racism? I think that might be racism. So here's a bunch of, I was interested in how many GoDaddy websites and like what the popular GoDaddy websites were most popular that were hosted or had the domain registered on GoDaddy. And none of them were very big, actually. None of them were like Gab in that they didn't have any kind of, it's not like a direct comparison, right? You can't say, well, Reddit or Twitter or Facebook shouldn't exist because GoDaddy pulled this. It doesn't work that way because they all, Facebook and Reddit and Twitter, they all have different hosting, and it's not apples to apples. But I still think it's really concerning when you've got a social network that is meant and created for people to get together and share ideas, and it's used to have evidence against somebody who does something heinous, like shooting up a synagogue. That's terrible. You don't want a shooting anywhere. Nobody should be shot up. That's awful. And the social network cooperates with the DOJ. This is a Gab tweet from the other day, 29th of October. Oh, so today, sorry, 5:41 a.m. Quote, yes, this will likely be a key piece of evidence for the DOJ against him. We're proud to be helping both the DOJ and the FBI in this case. So we've got a social network that provides a platform for people to speak and share ideas. And somebody chooses to go and shoot up a synagogue, and this social network is being held accountable for that. And yet, we've got countless instances of Twitter being used to recruit for ISIS, Twitter being used to distribute child pornography, Facebook being used to distribute videos of people committing hate crimes, and they were charged with hate crimes. And these other platforms are completely insulated. Why this one? What's going on? It's not about the ideas being alt-right. It's not about the ideas being abhorrent. It's about the ideas being free and uncontrolled by a grander, master, somebody who's shaping the idea. How much more immigration do you want, the West? Because it's going to be more, because you're not allowed to talk about it if it's not more. You're alt-right if you want to stay where you are or you don't want to bring in more. You alt-right racist, right? That's what they're trying to do, and they're doing it. They're succeeding. And stories like this are complicated, and they're complicated on purpose, right? It's not easy. It's not easy to do what they're doing, to shut down an entire startup that has users and has traction and has been going for 2 years. I mean, imagine 2 years of your life's work down the sewers because somebody acted on their own outside of your network and had nothing to do with you. And yet these other networks can behave improperly with impunity. It makes me sick. It's awful. So, not quite Canadian news today, but we'll get back to that tomorrow. And I hope our freedom of speech is protected, because at this point it looks like if you're not banging the lefty drum, then you are out in the cold. There's nowhere for you, and they don't want you anywhere else. So, unbelievable. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, everyone.